Hey guys, Tirelis here with another Warlords of Draenor beta video. In this video I'm going to be looking at the last of the Shaman specs in Restoration Shamans. I'm going to be looking at their major changes, their changed and removed abilities, their new and changed glyphs, their new Draenor perks, and then finally their new and changed talents. There aren't that many major changes to Shamans, Restoration Shamans. The biggest change is going to come in the fact that they had a lot of passive and smart healing, much more than any of the other healers in the game. So they're going to be changing it so that their passive and smart healing just isn't as potent as it was before. So to give you an example, the first of these is Chain Heal. Chain Heal, always, you choose the main target and then the rest does, all the work. The jumps will do all the work. Well, now the jumps, it's kind of like the old Chain Lightning. The jumps will do less healing with each one. So it just makes it less effective and less powerful than it used to be. Another change is going to come in the form of Healing Rain. Healing Rain would heal 6 targets, and then after those 6 targets it was a drop off. Now it's only going to heal 6 targets. It's not going to go beyond 6 targets, and it's going to choose those 6 targets at random. Since it's not, healing every target, it will now just be randomized which targets it chooses. It's not going to say, okay, hey, this target is 20% health, it needs more healing than the others. No, it's just going to heal any random target that's in the area. So there is another reduction in your smart and passive healing that you have as a Restoration Shaman. Another reduction is the fact that weapon imbues have been removed from the game. And while Unleash Life is still in the game and put there, the effects that came from Earth Living Weapon, all of the passive extra bonus heals, have all been removed. So you don't have access to that anymore. So it's another, reduction of those passive and smart healing. Another removal is Ancestral Awakening. Ancestral Awakening, when you critically heal a single target, direct heal, you summon an Ancestral Spirit to aid you, instantly healing the most injured party or raid target within 40 yards for 30% of the amount heal. Another, really easy, passive, smart healing that has been removed in the game. So they really just kind of had to scale back on how much smart healing and passive healing was there for Restoration Shamans. It was just too powerful. Healing Stream Totem has had its healing cut in half. I believe that's the other, major big change for, reducing that passive and smart healing. So overall, you're gonna have to, pay attention a little bit more when you heal as a shaman. You won't have so much passive healing across the board. Another major change to Restoration Shamans is the fact that Greater Healing Wave has been removed. You can still see the icon down here in the middle of my top bar up here. Healing Wave took the Greater Healing Wave icon, and it heals kind of like Greater Healing Wave. I guess you could say Healing Wave was removed, and then Greater Healing Wave was just renamed Healing Wave. Blizzard, the reason this is important and why it's a major change, just to have this one ability removed, is that it removes the 3-tier system that was introduced in Cataclysm, where you had the short powerful heal, which is Healing Surge, and then you had the medium heal, that was Healing Wave, that was extremely mana efficient and basically healed nothing, and then you had Greater Healing Wave, which did all the power. That's not going to be the case anymore. Now they've changed it so that you have mana efficient spells, and then you have mana, inefficient spells or healing throughput spells. They did this because two things. It allows for spec individuality again. With the 3-tier system, everyone had to have one of each, and that really made things boring. Well, now everyone's got a set of mana efficient heals, and then they have their mana inefficient heals. In the case of a Resto Shaman looking at single target, your Healing Wave is your mana efficient heal, and then your Healing Surge is going to be your mana inefficient heal, or your healing throughput spell. So you're going to have to juggle these to make sure that your your mana bar stays up. If your mana bar goes down, you're going to find yourself in trouble. So this was kind of a major change that has been implemented. It's going to make it a lot, more fun. It'll make things a little bit more difficult, possibly, But I think the thing I like about it most is that it brings back spec individuality. Everyone doesn't have to be the same anymore. So that leads us to the changed abilities for Restoration Shaman. We already discussed Healing Rain and how it's no longer healing beyond 6, etc. Tremor Totem has been changed so that you can no longer drop it while under the effects of Fear, Charm, or Sleep. This is a huge PvP nerf. I used to use this all the time, dropping it when I was hit with a Fear. If it makes you feel any better, Fears have been drastically reduced from the game. I've been in Ashran a lot, and Fears are the least of my concerns. I think for once people will finally feel that fears are not that big of a deal anymore as they have been in the past. Wind Shear, its threat component has been removed. Not a big change there. We already discussed Chain Heal and its reduction in after each jump. Telluric Currents no longer returns mana. It used to return the mana for the Lightning Bolt and then give you a little extra. It now just makes the Lightning Bolt free. So this was done because Blizzard wants to remove all mana generating abilities. So that means Mana Tide gone, Innervate gone, Hymn of Hope gone. Anything that regenerative mana has been removed. If you find yourself with no mana and the boss is only at 40%, the raid leader's going to look at you and say, hey, you're a bad healer. Everything as a healer is going to be about keeping the raid up, as it has been before, but managing your mana to make sure it lasts all the way to the end of the fight. Preferably, you run out of mana right as the fight ends. Those are going to be the best healers. Because you have no bailout anymore. You have no innervate. You have no mana tide anymore. You have no bailout. You can have a mana pot, you can have your mana potion, but that's it. You get nothing else. So healers are going to have to pay are going to have to pay a large amount of attention to their mana bar and make sure that they're deciding between those mana efficient heals and those mana inefficient heals on whether or not you should do it. If you're going to spam chain heal, if you're a healer that spams chain heal and Healing Surge when someone gets low, I guarantee you will be out of mana in the first minute of the fight. And the boss is only at 80%, and then you will get probably kicked from your raid. So, if that was your playstyle, you're going to have to change drastically, or else you will never survive as a healer in Warlords of Draenor. A small change to Tidal Waves, it no longer reduces the cast time of your healing wave by 30%, that's been cut down to 20%. And then kind of a major change in PvP is that Hex cast time has been increased to 1.7 seconds from 1.5 seconds, so just a small PvP nerf there. There are several removed abilities. Already discussed Ancestral Awakening and its passive smart healing effects. Mana Tide as well, same thing, removed. You're not going to have any bailouts. Bind Elemental has been removed. Stormlash Totem has been removed. Blizzard saw it as an unnecessary buff totem. Magma Totem is now enhancement only, and then Earthshock is now elemental only, so just so you know those two. There are several new glyphs with Restoration Shaman. Going from the top, the first of these glyphs is going to be Glyph of Shocks. Increases the range in your Earth Shock, Flame Shock, Frost Shock, and Wind Shear by 5 yards. So that's not going to apply to Earth Shock, obviously, as I just mentioned, but it will apply to the other three. There is Spirit Walker's Aegis, which when you cast Spirit Walker's Grace, you become immune to silence and erupt effects for 5 seconds. That definitely is looking like the PvP choice for Spirit Walker's Grace. The second one is going to be Glyph of Spirit Walker's Focus, and it reduces the cooldown of Spirit Walker's Grace by 60 seconds, but reduces its duration by 7 seconds. I think this one's awesome. It sucks that it's exclusive with the others, because I always feel like Spirit Walker's Grace has always lasted too long, and I would love to have that, minute off of the cooldown, but Spirit Walker's Aegis is something that you're probably really going to want as a healer. And all three of those tied together with the glyph of Spirit Walker's Grace. All three of those glyphs are tied together. You can only have one at a time. You cannot have all three. The next change is, sorry, not change. The next new glyph is Glyph of Purify Spirit, which your Purify Spirit now has a maximum of 2 charges, but its cooldown has been increased by 4 seconds. That makes it a 12-second cooldown as opposed to an 8-second cooldown. And you have 2 charges. I like it. It kind of gives you that flexibility of, going back and forth. Do I need this? Do I need, can we use it now, etc. I think it's something that people should really, look at. There is Glyph of Grounding, which I skipped up here, and it reduces the cooldown of your grounding totem by 3 seconds, and that is exclusive with Glyph of Grounding Totem. And then lastly, there is, all the way down at the bottom, it's a minor glyph. It is Glyph of Ghostly Speed, which your Ghost Wolf grants an additional 60% movement speed. This movement speed bonus will not be granted if the Ghost Wolf is activated while in combat. This effect is disabled in battlegrounds and arenas and cannot be combined with any other speed increases. So it's an instant cast, it's an instant cast mount speed. Something, might be fun to take. It's a minor glyph. Just something you can take with, and it's exclusive with Glyph of Ghost Wolf, so you can only have one or the other. That leaves us with a couple of changed glyphs. The first is Glyph of Chaining. Increases the jump distance of your chain heal by 100%. They just removed the cooldown on it. I think that's to compensate for the fact that it now just no longer heals as much as it used to. So I think they felt it was justifiable to go ahead and remove that cooldown. The second one is going to be Glyph of Totemic Recall, and it changes your Totemic Recall ability to return 25% additional mana when recalling a totem. I believe that is instead of 75% additional mana. Like I said, mana returns are just being gutted across the board. You're going to have to pay attention to your mana by what spells you use, not, what mana returns you can get from other people or from your own class. That leads us into the Draenor perks for Restoration Shaman. They have 4 that are kind of okay, not too impressive. There's Enhanced Unleash, which your Unleash Life ability causes you to gain 30% increased movement speed for 4 seconds. You can see right there. That's pretty significant. Trying to get away from someone, you can pop Unleash Life and try and gain some distance away from them. There is Improved Chain Heal, which increases the healing on the primary target of your Chain Heal spell by 50%. There's Improved Reincarnation, increases the health that you reincarnate with by an additional 50%. I really don't like this one because it doesn't do anything to interact with your gameplay as a healer, to be honest. Some people can argue, well, that only, benefits PvP, or that only benefits PvE. At least it's benefiting one of the two. This one, I feel, just isn't benefiting anything. It's just like, oh, that's nice, I mean, I guess you could say it could benefit, PvP, non-arena, etc. But I don't know, it's just not that great. The last is Improved Riptide, which reduces the cooldown of Riptide by 1 second, makes it 5-second cooldown. Know that Riptide has had a lot of its healing moved from the hot portion and into the, direct healing portion of the spell, to make it pretty powerful. I currently have the glyph that changes it so that I cannot, test it, but it's, I mean, we can remove the glyph here just so you can see what it looks like, go ahead and use Riptide on myself. They just baked a lot more heal into the big, heal at the start instead of, the actual hot portion of it later on. That leaves us with the talents for Restoration Druid. Gonna go ahead and pull them up. Go through the tree here so you can see all the changes. The first tier comes in the 30 tier. Know that Earth Grab Totem now shares diminishing returns with all of the rooting effects, so Void Tendrils, Entangling Roots, etc. They all share under that same diminishing return umbrella. Ancestral Swiftness can no longer be used to turn Hex into an instant cast spell, so just know that you're not going to be able to insta-Hex anymore. Conductivity now only applies to healing as a Resto Shaman and damage as a DPS class, so only your healing spells will be able to trigger it. Elemental Blast has kind of an interesting change to make it more, usable, sought after for Restoration Shamans. They've changed it so that it also increases your spirit by 1,000 for 8 seconds. So if I go ahead and use an Elemental Blast here, you can see I have two buffs. I have the stat buff that comes normally, and then I have a spirit buff of 1,000. So it gives you both. It's not like it adds it into the pool of Critical Strike, Haste, Mastery, or Multi-Strike. No, it's in addition. So considering all the mana changes that have happened, this might become a really attractive option for Restoration Shamans on this tier if you're not going after, Unleashed Fury or Primal Elementalist if you want to. Primal Elementalist can be maybe sought after in conjunction with Storm Elemental Totem, but I honestly don't see that happening. So that leaves us with the level 100 tier. The first of these is High Tide, which your Chain Heal also bounces up to 2 additional targets affected by your Riptide, and no longer diminishes in power with each bounce. So I kind of like this. Know that Chain Heal is your healing throughput spell for Warlords of Draenor, which means that if you just keep spamming Chain Heal, you will burn through your mana pretty quickly. So I don't know how valuable High Tide will be. I mean, it does hit 2 additional targets, and it removes the healing debuffs. So considering that health pools in Warlords of Draenor no longer kind of gradually, they no longer burst up and down, and we're not going to be in a environment where we're just trying to cap everyone off to the top. You're going to be in a raid fight, and you're going to see all kinds of people. All of your raid members could be all hovering in the 30 to 40 range, and that's where High Tide becomes really powerful and something that people may want. So definitely something to look at there. Possibly, it's definitely a possibility. I think it'll see more use in PvP, High Tide, than the others. High Tide is something that I could see both used in PvP and PvE, whereas Storm Elemental Totem is going to be more PvP oriented, and Cloudburst will be more PvE. But we'll get to those right about now. Cloudburst Totem. Cloudburst Totem summons a water totem with 5 health at the feet of the caster for 15 seconds that collects water from all healing spells and their multi-strikes. When the Cloudburst Totem is destroyed or replaced or expires, the stored power is released, healing all injured allies within 40 yards for a total of 20% of all healing done while it was active, split evenly amongst them. So I can go ahead and do this, pop this down, and then spam Chain Heal as much as I can and get as much healing off as possible. And then you will see when this Cloudburst Totem expires, you will see it hit the training dummies on the right hand side there. As you can see, there was the burst of heal right there. It just healed everyone. I can even look up my log here. You can see your Cloudburst has healed healing dummy for 14,000 nature damage. Not necessarily the greatest. It might be tuned higher, but imagine this: you're lining up. A boss has a burst phase coming up. DBM's like, so-and-so's about to do this, and you're like, okay, we're gonna need a lot of healing here in about 30 seconds. So, when it comes to that, 17-second mark, or sorry, you're like the 12-second mark, you plop down the Cloudburst Totem and heal as much as you can, to get in preparation for that burst phase. And all of a sudden, when he does, mass damage to everyone in the raid, that Cloudburst totem kicks in, heals everybody, and then the raid has an easier time. So you can kind of see how it can possibly be used and have its merits and so forth. And I do think it'll be competing with High Tide for PvE's attention. Storm Elemental Totem is something that I think will be pretty much PvP only. It has this ability to where wherever it's damaging, it creates an AoE circle and it heals in the area where that AoE circle is. So I'm going to go ahead and open, and he's going to start attacking. And as you can see, it's healing me as well. As he fires and does damage, it heals everyone in the targeted area. I don't see how this will be used for PvP, and I just don't see it being powerful enough for PvE. So, Storm Elemental Totem, I think, may be something that's just avoided by healers across the board. Restoration Shamans, I don't know. That's something that we will have to see when patch 6.0 goes live, and people get up to, when Warlords of Draenor comes out, people get up to level 100, we'll have to see, where they go with it. But that is everything dealing with Restoration Shamans. That is all of the Shaman specs completed. I will see you guys in the next video. Tirelis out.